My name is Rachel. I'm 36 years old, and for 10 years, my mother-in-law told everyone in our family that I was broken. She can't have children, she'd say, shaking her head at every holiday dinner, every birthday party, every family gathering. Some women just aren't meant to be mothers. I never corrected her. I let her believe it. I smiled through every insult, every pitying look from cousins I barely knew, because the truth was so much bigger than she could ever imagine. And I wasn't ready to give it to her, not yet. But this Christmas, everything changed, and by the end of the night, my mother-in-law would collapse on her own front porch, unable to speak, unable to breathe, because of one simple truth I had kept hidden for a decade. Let me take you back to where it all started. I married David when I was 24. His mother, Diane, never liked me, not really. She thought I wasn't good enough for her son, that I came from the wrong kind of family. But when David and I struggled to have a baby in our first 2 years of marriage, Diane found her weapon. She told everyone, aunts, uncles, David's college friends, even the mailman, I swear. Poor Rachel, she'd say, loud enough for me to hear from the next room. It's such a shame. David deserves grandchildren, real ones. David tried to defend me at first, but Diane had a way of making silence feel like agreement. Slowly, even he stopped saying anything. I remember one Thanksgiving, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "Some women just aren't built for family." Everyone laughed. I laughed too, because if I let her see me break, she would have won completely. But what none of them knew, what I had never told a single soul in that family, was that I wasn't infertile at all. 3 years into the marriage, Diane started introducing me differently at parties. "This is Rachel, David's wife. She doesn't have children." As if that was my entire identity, as if a decade of my life could be summarized in one cruel sentence. She'd buy baby gifts for David's cousins and forget to invite me to the baby showers. She'd talk about grandchildren she wished she had, right in front of me at my own dinner table. One night, I heard her on the phone with her sister. "I don't think Rachel is even trying," she said. "Maybe David should have married someone else." I stood in the hallway, gripping the door frame so hard my knuckles turned white. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her everything, but I didn't, because some secrets need the right moment, and mine wasn't ready yet. You see, 5 years earlier, before I even met David, I had made a decision that changed my life forever, one Diane never knew about, and one that would eventually bring her entire cruel narrative crashing down. When I was 21, long before David, I gave birth to a son. His name was Ethan. I was young, scared, and in a relationship that fell apart before he was even born. My family, my real family, not David's, helped me raise him quietly for the first year. Then circumstances changed, and Ethan went to live with my sister's family across the country while I finished school and rebuilt my life. It wasn't abandonment, it was survival. Every month I sent money. Every summer I visited him in secret, telling David I was going on work trips. Every night I called him before bed. He knew who I was. He called me Mom the very first time I visited, and every time since. I never told David's family, because once Diane decided I was broken, it became easier to let her believe it. It kept her cruelty focused on something false instead of something real. It protected Ethan, and in a strange way, it protected me too. But last month, everything shifted. My sister got a new job overseas. She couldn't keep raising Ethan anymore. It was time, finally, for him to come home, to come to me. I didn't tell David right away. I wanted to see his face when he understood the truth, when I finally sat him down and told him everything. About Ethan, about the years of secrecy, about why I'd let his mother humiliate me instead of exposing a truth that would have hurt an innocent 9-year-old boy, and he broke down crying. 10 years, he said. 10 years, you let her call you broken, and you had a son this whole time. I did it for him, I said, not for me. David didn't hesitate. He drove 8 hours that weekend to pick Ethan up himself. And then he asked me one question. "Do you want her to know, tonight, at Christmas, in front of everyone?" I thought about every insult, every pitying comment, every Thanksgiving where I had to swallow my pride and let a woman who barely knew me define who I was. "Yes," I said, "tonight." Christmas Eve, the whole family gathered at Diane's house, just like every year. She was in the middle of telling a new guest her favorite story. Rachel can't have children, you know. Such a shame. When the doorbell rang, she answered it herself, still smiling that same pitying smile she always wore around me. Standing there was a 9-year-old boy with David's eyes and my smile, holding a small suitcase, looking up at her with pure innocence. "Hi," he said. "Are you my grandma? Mom told me about you." Diane's face went white, her hand gripped the door frame. She looked at me, standing behind him, and I said nothing. I didn't need to. "This is Ethan," I said quietly. "My son, he's been mine for 10 years, Diane. The whole time you were telling everyone I was broken." She didn't scream, she didn't argue, she simply collapsed onto the porch steps, unable to process 10 years of cruelty crumbling in front of her, in the shape of one small boy. The rest of the family stood in stunned silence. David knelt beside his mother, but for the first time in 10 years, he didn't rush to comfort her. He looked at me instead, and he said the words I had waited a decade to hear. "She owes you an apology, and she's going to give you one for the rest of her life." That night, for the first time in 10 years, nobody at that Christmas dinner called me broken. They called me Mom, and that was the only title I ever needed.